Okay, boys and girls, so we are going to work on our social studies assignment for week 1. The good thing is there's only one assignment for the week. You do not need to complete 4 or 5 like the other subjects. So please be sure that you are on your class pages. Please make sure you're on social studies. And once you get over here, you'll see that grade 3, week 1 is right here. It's in highlighted in red. That means it's already published for you to do. I haven't published the ones for week 2 or week 3 or week 4 because I don't want you to do too much work on this right now. So once you're on this main page, you are going to view your work or click the blue hyperlink to see what your lessons are for this. Once you are on, let's hope it works and not that kitty come up. Let's see. I'll give it a couple seconds. Yay, it worked. Okay. So these are the 3 different things you need to do. One is the Journey to the North Pole. That's where you have to read a story. Great Explorer Timeline. That's also a article that you have to read. And then there's a document that you need to complete. So to make life easier, I've already clicked on it because I know sometimes the PowerSchool doesn't work correctly. So I quickly clicked on it and now I already have it up here. So we're going to read Journey to the North Pole. Okay. And just like I did with my read aloud, and hopefully my read aloud will help you. So let's start. Journey to the North Pole. The North Pole is an extreme place. The temperature can drop to 40 degrees below zero, and the pole is surrounded by frozen ocean. There is no land to walk on, only slabs of ice. None of that stopped African-American explorer Matthew Henson. He was part of a team that went to the North Pole in 1909. Many experts believe that the team members were the first people to go there. Dangerous trek. For your first question, what do you think trek means? In the comments below, tell me what you think trek means. Let's continue. Henson was an assistant to an explorer named Robert Peary. The men made several trips to the Arctic region starting in 1891. As you can see, region is highlighted in dark bold print. That means it's a critical vocabulary word that you should know. For another question, for another prize and homework us pass, who could tell me what region means? They tried to reach the North Pole. In 1909, they finally had success, thanks in a big way to Henson. He built the team's dog sleds and drove one across the ice. He hired Inuit people to join the team and learned their language to talk to them. He also used an axe to clear paths through piles of sea ice. The journey was risky. The ice was always shifting, so the men had to watch their step. They could never daydream, says expert Susan Kaplan. It might mean falling through a huge hole in the ice. On April 6, 1909, the team stopped. Their navigation tools told them they had reached the pole. Let's stop there. Another word highlighted, navigation. For another homework pass or a little treat in the treasure box, who can tell me what navigation means using the context clues? Drop a comment below. They also stuck a U.S. flag in the ice. As the flag snapped and crackled in the wind, they felt joy, Henson later wrote. Another world's accomplishment was done. Back at home. When the men returned to the U.S., Peary was celebrated as a hero. Henson was mostly ignored. Many newspapers did not mention his name because he was African American. But years later, Henson was finally honored. Today he is seen by many as one of the most important American explorers ever. Okay, so if you see on the top hand corner, you can learn more about Henson if you go to scholastic.com/SN3. You can actually view a video about him. So that's cool. If you have time, go on to that. In the center, from the North Pole, what is the only direction you can go? Who can answer that question? Drop a comment below. Let's see. Let's scroll down. So if you traveled with Henson, this is kind of like a timeline. The 1909 journey to the North Pole wasn't easy. You'd be sick of energy bars. The team survived mainly on pemmican. These energy bars were made of fat, dried fruit, and greens. So going on this exploration, they only had limited food and they could only eat energy bars. So we're used to eating whatever we feel like it. But imagine having to eat the same thing over and over again. You'd get frostbite. On one trip, icy temperatures caused team leader Prairie to lose 8 of his toes. Now, when you get frostbite, your toes or any part of your body turn blue and then black, and eventually they fall off because of the extreme cold. That's why we wear boots and all those kind of protective gear when we go out in the wintertime. You'd smell like a dog. Up to 133 dogs pulled sledges like this one, carrying people and supplies through the snow. Cool. And there we have words to know. And if you remember, I'm going to zoom away from there because I asked you before, what does region, navigation, and all that means? Well, there is a little glossary at the end of this that could help you. All right, so once you're done reading the story, you have another story right over here, and it's pretty much a timeline of Matthew Henson and his trek in the North Pole. So I'm going to make sure that you guys read that, and then you have questions that you need to answer. Now, this PDF file looks as if you cannot write in it, but if you can, write these questions in your LAL notebook. Where was Henson born? And then write, Henson was born, blah, 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 blah. For number 2 in your LAL notebook, write about how old was Henson when he got his job on the ship. Henson was blank blank years old when he got the job on the ship. For number 3 in your LAL notebook, what was the topic of the book Henson wrote in 1912? The topic of the book Henson wrote in 1912 was blah, 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 blah. Write your answer in your LAL notebook. And then last but not least, it said, what happened to Henson in 1937? In 1937, Henson, blah, 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 in your LAL notebook. Now, all your answers are right here. So if you remember, last question was, what did he do? What happened in 1937? We'll go to the timeline of 1937, and it tells you what happened. So your answers are right here in front of you. So again, if you can't print this out and send it to me, use your LAL notebook, write in your LAL notebook, and then take a picture and send it to me. So then after that, if you remember, we have a document, and I opened it up. Let's see. The document looks like this, but I believe one of the teachers was kind enough to make this easier for you. Let me see if it's the same thing. Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing. Let me just scroll down right here. And let me just double check to make sure that it is just like the other one. All right, so we're going to use this document right over here because it's easier for right now. Let me exit out of all this stuff, whatever this is. All right, so what you're going to do, I'm going to send this document. Your parents can print it out for you, or you can type in it. If you're selecting answers, which is easy, all you have to do is pick the right answer. One thing that you could do, if it says, what is the author's main purpose of their journey to the North Pole? What was the reason for the author for writing the journey to the North Pole? Was it to describe the North Pole? Was it to explain how to get to the North Pole? To describe an adventure by a great explorer? Or to explain what life was like in the 1900s? So you're going to choose your answer. Let's pretend this is the right answer, but it's not. So please don't select it. You can highlight it, and then you see that what pops up, it says text highlighter. You could just press that button and it highlights it for you. So that could tell me that that's your answer. Or if you don't want to do that, you can write next to it and say, this is the answer, and it will type it in. So you could do that as well. I don't mind. This is the answer. But again, this is not the answer, so please don't pick this one. All right, so you could do it multiple ways for me. You can highlight the answer for me, or you can write. So please do this for day 1, and I'll send that to your parents. Thanks, guys. Bye.